All right, hey, welcome back to Rococo Couture. Today, we're gonna do something a bit like this on the ceiling. This trim above the cornice. We're gonna do that starting here. So we'll eventually have a pattern that goes all the way around, but we'll make a start of it today. So as you can see here, I've started doing the cornice. The plan is to have one row here, one row here. So that row's not there yet, but it'll be exactly like this. Identical thin line at the outer lip of the cornice, up the upper lip. You can see we've decorated the capital base top, I guess. And we've started doing the lintel beam as a bit of a frieze. So we've got a pattern that we're continuing both sides, as well as on the bottom. And that kind of makes it look a little bit taller. So you can see at the moment, when you have just a plain, an undecorated lintel, it really feels like the lowest part. And that on an 8-foot ceiling feels a little bit low and a little bit unceremonial, not a lot of ceremony in that. So the plan, I think, is to try to make it feel taller. As we decorate it, it feels like part of the wall. So then your lower point of reference, again, is the ceiling. So if we can go onto the ceiling like this, that could make a lot of sense. So I did have a little check to see what that would look like. And remember, there's going to be another thin line there, but once that's up there, I hope you can see that. I might have to adjust the camera, but it should add another depth and layer that will bring the pattern all the way around, up the cornice from the frieze, and make it feel like one continuous scoop. So that's what we're trying to do today. And this first time we've done this, so I don't know if it will stick upside down. We can only hope and try. So I was a little bit careless with my measurement, and that's not exactly in the middle, but because I've made that the middle, even though it's a centimeter off, we're going to have to continue that up here. So that's going to be 25 in. I did a little pre-measurement, and I'll just show you how we do that. Just take a little sticky tab, and you want to mark at 25, just on the top of the cornice. I mean, that really, we could just mark it with pencil, because it will be covered later one day once we put the bottom bit on. But just double check. But we'll just do it with the paper, because that's what will make sense as a general practice. Okay, so the pattern, I think I've showed you the pattern before, and basically it was from another previous video. Initially we designed it as a Persian style surround. That's the video there on it, Persian style door surround. So we've got this pattern here that's going to go on the ceiling, and I haven't got all the pieces, so we're just going to see how it starts, and I'll show you later shot once I've got more up one day. But this is more of just a test run, just to show you that we can Rococo Couture the ceiling edges to enhance the cornice. Okay. So you want to butter this up, and you want to butter it up a little bit more than usual, a little thicker, just because we need a bit of suction to the ceiling. Now, hold up guarantees vertical stick for anything, it says, and it's very good on its promise. But we are upside down, so you see that big ceiling behind the column there, the ceiling ring, that was on a 45-degree upside down angle, and it didn't really quite stick at first, so we had to support it overnight, and it did stick then. But we're not going to have the luxury here with that, so we are going to hope that this sticks really well and we can Rococo Couture this part of the room. So take your time buttering it up for this. We might have to hold it there for a couple minutes just so it doesn't fall off. If you're doing white plaster around your walls, it's probably going to look better to do white plaster for this part here. If you've got gold plaster like me, you probably want to go with gold, just to keep it the same. I did try to see what it looks like with white. It doesn't look that great. Looks rather unfinished. So stay gold with gold, or what other color you're using, just use the same. I mean, you might be able to go different color, that might work. But if you're using a color, probably not go white, just because it does look rather unfinished. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. Well, that's sticking really well, actually. I don't think that's going to fall down. So this might be successful. 23. 25 away. 22.5. Let's move it 0.5%, yeah. Look here. 27, 28 and a bit. We might have to keep it there because we want it in line with the gem on the bottom. A bit more course. Okay, so that's sticking really well. So you want to take your ear cleaning things, and you want to go around and just clean up the excess adhesive. So we've got a really clean finish. Just get a rubbish bin. Yeah, sometimes that's a problem when you freestyle. You kind of get carried away, you don't really measure things to the center. And for the most part, it looks pretty centered, but it could just be a centimeter off or a centimeter and a half off. So it's just something to be wary about, because once you continue the pattern on different layers, it could become noticeable. So just, yeah, always measure. even if it looks like it's in the middle, try to measure it, and you'll thank yourself later. Okay, so the next part. Okay.
Is good.
Just checking, yep, okay, so this one's the next one. Oh, actually, we've got these two pieces. So again, butter them up. Thicker is a little bit better because we want it to suck onto the ceiling. We don't want it falling off. Good. Same with the other side. No! Butterfingers. Okay, let's think what we're doing. We can keep going. Let's put more glue. We'll stick it back together. Okay, that accidents often happen. It's quite easy to do. So hopefully you have spare pieces, or if the break's pretty clean, you can always just paint over the broken part, and just continue as is. You won't really, once it's all up there, if you want to put like a little bit more paint just to cover up any breaks, but if it's really clean, it will be fine. So just gotta push it all back together. Oh dear, that's the problem. That's the one not sticking. Okay, that's why it didn't stick. Not enough glue on the end. So we'll just give that a little bit of clean. And we're gonna. So yeah, if it does fall off, not enough glue. Okay, so dry it. More glue. That's it. Okay. Press it together. That's not good. Okay, so we might want to touch that crack up. So you'll need some gold paint. Just on a brush, and just where the crack is, you just want to fill the crack in with paint. I think this brush has had it. Sometimes if your brush goes, just use one of your cotton buds, and just use a cotton bud as the paintbrush. Yeah, you can just improvise if you need to. that's fine. Okay. If you do see it coming off, which I am seeing it come off a little bit, make sure to press it back down. You might even have to hold it there for a couple minutes maybe. Okay. Okay, so we'll put the next pieces on. Yeah, a little bit sticks well, but you have to watch it, make sure it really stays up there. After say 10 minutes, if it hasn't fallen down, should be good, I think. All right, so we'll put the next pieces up. Okay, so that's this piece next. Butter it up. When you're buttering it, yeah, pretty close together. Don't leave too many gaps, but don't make it continuous, because when you do press it down, the glue has to go somewhere. And we basically want to fill in the gaps that aren't glued. We don't really want it to spill over the edge, because then we have to clean it up. So that's going to fit in there, and just press down, look for any overspills, and you might just have to hold it there for a few minutes, let it dry. Okay. All right, so then we get the next one while that's holding, and we want to do the same thing. Make sure there's, I guess also if you've got glue more on the edges, I mean on both sides, like on this side and this side, that might stick better. And if you do see it falling away from the wall, just give another press up again. Make sure none of it falls down. Okay, it looks pretty good. Okay, so we put the next piece on. There we go. All right. Okay, so that's sticking really well. I don't have any more pieces to continue that pattern properly, so I think we'll pick that up next time and just do a video of how we would take that around the side and everything. But what I do want to continue with this video is we're going to do more of the frieze and then underneath, so you can see how we make a pattern about that. So I might reposition the camera a bit, and we'll start here. Okay. All right, so you can see we've got a few pieces here. We're going to try to make a pattern, try to keep it center with the with what's happening over here, and make a repetitive pattern that we can continue right across. And up here, we've got a little bit of a pattern, so we're going to put another one of those here. I don't have any other pieces, so we can't really continue that on, but you can see how we might design something on the bottom. And you'll see later, we'll continue this and we'll go around the corner. We'll probably need design another kind of piece here to carry the pattern around 90-degree angles. So that we will do in another video. But I just wanted to show you that that works and how we would continue a pattern here. Okay, so let's do something easy first. We'll put another one of these up there. Okay, so again, we want to butter up the next piece. And we want to just position that over here. What you can do with your tape measure is to just check the distance. So about 4.5, we're looking pretty good. Now, if you look here, and this is something you probably want to check before you start doing a pattern, that's 11.5. But if I check it on the other side, move the video a bit just so you can see the other side. Over here, so you've got 11.5 on that side, but on this side, I've got 10.8. So that caused a little bit of problems. You can see here, we've got a little gap between the yellow on both sides. But on the other side, that gap's less. So there's, you can see there, and you can see there, it's almost touching the cornice. So something just to be wary of. Sometimes the builders are not so accurate with their building that you might have to measure things out and make sure that you can continue a pattern both sides. I could barely fit it in, but I think once I put this run, you won't notice that there's touching on the other side. There's a little margin you can get away with, but best to check first. Okay, so so that goes there. The next pattern would be this one, upside down here, and we would just continue that one all the way across. So we're gonna do something on the bottom here. And we want to kind of honor what's happening at the top here, so it makes it look like it's not out of whack. So you might have to play around with a bit of it, but I did do that. I did find, I take some shells and I take another one of these cherry blossoms. I can sort of do something like this and have the cherry blossom in the middle to line up with this piece here, this TS1. So yeah, you'll have to play around with it just to find what would work for you, but it's important that it looks like it's been planned out. Ergo, you have to plan it out. Okay, so just butter that up again, because we're doing something upside down. Put a little bit more glue in the middle parts and at the ends. You might have to wipe them up, but the main thing is that it doesn't fall off. Oh, hold on, which is way? I think we're doing it this way. Okay. 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 So show you what that looks like at the bottom. Because we had this part that looks like, if you can see it on that side, we wanted to find a piece that would receive it. So the back end of this shell kind of receives it really well, makes it look like the pattern's continuing in a direction without interrupting it. And then we want to be in the middle with this pattern here. So we'd try and center our cherry blossom to match up with the center of that line there. Okay, so we'll try that now. And then we're going to meet it with another shell on the other side, and then another one of these. Okay, so cherry blossom. Before we butter up, we might make sure that should be right. And also you want to just check the shell on the other side, make sure it's relatively centered. The good thing about round kind of pieces is that they're very forgiving about orientation, but again, you can only get away with so much. So just double check, see how out or close you are. So it's about 5, and this is about 5. Oh, it's good. It's right in the middle. Okay, so next part. Another cherry blossom piece. That flower, so we can tying it up with the top. Okay. Sometimes you'll have to just play it just by eye, especially when the piece isn't actually symmetrical. So then you want a shell on the other side. Facing this way, and then the middle of this one here should be at the kind of the end of the shell where we are going to receive it with this piece, which should end up just past the middle of this one. So we're looking symmetrical with our pattern, and that's looking real good. So let's butter up this shell. Again, because it's upside down, make sure we have enough glue that it's not going to fall off. Nice thicker dabs of glue in the center. Create a bit of a suction. Okay. Yep, that's looking right. Okay. So now we just want to make sure it's centered at 5. Yep. Okay, it's looking straight. Okay, clean it up. Okay. Now we want this piece here receiving on the other side. Put that up. Okay. All right. Check it square in the middle. Okay, that's better. So once that's that, then clean that up. Q-tip. Okay, so just check, make sure it didn't move too much, that it's still right where we need it to be. Okay. Give it a press down, make sure it doesn't fall off. You might want to do just a little more fine cleanup. Just around the areas you can see it's just areas where you can see the glue. Okay. That's looking good. All right. So the next part is we have these two. Okay. And they are sort of, they're touching and they go out. Okay, like that. Right. Sometimes you want to continue a pattern while the other one's still movable. So you can, even if it may not be in the center, you still want to, like if it dries you can't move the other ones, it might be harder to work with. So sometimes you want to continue a pattern while it's still wet. Okay, so because we're putting two pieces on at the same time, you want to butter both pieces up. Make sure you put enough glue again, because we are putting it upside down. And you're going to put both pieces on at the same time. And that way you can sort of wiggle them around and position them to make sure that they're both right. That's one. We'll do the other one. Okay. Make sure your chair's in a good position too when you do this, because at this point, you've only got two hands and two pieces to put up, so make sure the chair's in the right spot. And you just, there we go. All right, we'll just clean it up. Okay. All right, so on the other side, you can see we're not quite centered here. So we did have this sort of flower over here. I'll show you that magnolia. We might see where the two ends here. There's a magnolia. We might want to do that here just to cap it off, and then have another magnolia, and then have that repeating pattern. So really just have it very symmetrical. So we just grab another one of these magnolias, and there's a little leaf here. I don't have any more of them. So that we'll have to finish that next time, but I think give me a minute to dig around for magnolia and we'll see if we can finish this one. Okay. Oh, yeah, I've got some. Okay, so let's see if it works. Okay, I've got to admit, it doesn't work fantastic because it's a little past the center line. What can we do? I guess that's all we can do. So we wouldn't be able to start another magnolia back to back because it's just past the center line. So maybe the next magnolia starts here, but it kind of doesn't look even, right? Because we have this one in the middle. So if it's here, we start that magnolia here, maybe. So we'll have to look at that next time, but I'll just finish this up. I'll put a magnolia here. If it's coming away, make sure you press it down so it doesn't fall off. Okay, so we'll finish that with the magnolia. And then once we have enough pieces, we'll work out how to continue it. But a lot of the time, it's just like this. You've just got to play it by ear. Especially when you're experimenting with a new pattern. I'm one day going to be able to sort of plan these out on a computer, but I'm pretty much illiterate with computers, so I do it the old-fashioned way. For better or worse. I mean, one way is it does force you to innovate and be creative, because you'll always be running into this sort of thing. But it's nice to know where you're going sometimes. So that would do. And yeah, that looks good. That's it. All right. So yeah, we'll probably have another flower here. There is a bit of a gap here, so there might have to be like a smaller unit that goes here that would then allow us to continue with the pattern. So that's another day of experimenting for me. And I'll just show you how we might do a bit of that. So I might just pick up 2 random pieces just to give you an idea. It might be, say, 2 shells. Like 2 shells, and we might see, oh, what if we put 2 shells back to back? And we might think that doesn't look great. I might think there needs something in between them. We might put 2 shells this way, and then might work out how to join the 2 shells from here, from say here to here. And so we might do that on a table just to try to do an arrangement on a table. We might pick 2 completely different pieces and try the same exercise. And then if that fails, we might then try to work something on a table, but we have an idea of how big it has to be. So for instance, we might pick out 2 very new pieces, do that. Kind of looks a bit better than what we had with the shells, but it really does look like there has to be like a space in the middle and then 2 pieces joining them up somehow. So you can try different ways, but having 2 pieces right next to each other doesn't seem to work. You can see it just looks boring. So it looks like you've got to have 2 things, join them both up on both sides. So that's something you would put on a table and try to work out. That's not looking too bad. But you can see it's really just experimental. But because see how that already has a space in the middle and is quite complicated, it doesn't have the same simplicity as the other ones. So you might get away with something that's a little bit more complicated and just butting them up against each other. But again, like, really just take your time, play with it, and work out what would be really the best option, because once it's up there, it's up there. There's no changing that. But I mean, that doesn't look too bad. It looks a little bit heavy in the middle, whereas this is all kind of light and stringy, and then just blob in the middle doesn't quite look right. So you might, like, it may just be 2 parts with a space in the middle. But again, it's just playing with it and working out what would be the best way to join 2 of these sections together while keeping with what's going on up here. All right, I think that's it for today. Hope you've got something out of that might help you. Maybe you're stuck on this sort of stage and you think you're the only one. No, this all day, every day happens. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching Rococo Couture. If you have any questions, just put in the comments below or just contact me. You'll probably find me on Etsy and we have a little conversation with what works for you. I will show you what I mean about on the table before we go. So we had been working on the Persian style and we wanted to make like a running border path around the wall. And you can see a pattern sort of coming together here. This is the end. That will be on the same end, and then I need to join them up in the middle. So we are working on that. So that's what I mean. You can make patterns here if you know what space, because you can't really put them upside down. And you can play with different pieces to try to get different patterns. They don't have to always be symmetrical. It can be bigger and smaller to give it a directional feel. So like this might be heavier and we're pointing this way. But yeah, just have a play with it, and you know, that'll get you your best outcomes. So sometimes I recommend people to just order a designer pack, pick a bunch of pieces. We'll pretty much send you them out for free if we know you're legitimately serious about this. And that way you can have a little play about, see if it fits, and try to make your own patterns. And we love to help you with that. So thank you again for your time. Hope you learned something. we'll continue what we're doing in the next video once I make more pieces to experiment with and show you how we do it. All right, have a good night and thank you. Bye for now.